Shalom Israel. We like to give all praises to Ahaya, Ashur Ahaya Bashem Yeshaya. The title of this lesson is The Mysterious Babylon, Revelation 17. All right, so get your King James Version Bible, get your Apocrypha, get your highlighter, and get your notepad and record. I mean, not record, but write anything that you see on this video. You can pause it, you can take your time, you can write this word for word, you can revise it, whatever. I just did the best I can do. So it's about edifying our people, all right? So John the Revelator received the visions in 96 AD. So John is one of Yeshaya's disciples. Okay, not completely fulfilled yet at this time. This will be for future prophecy only. Okay, he was exiled on the island of Patmos. Now let's check out this this beautiful image. It's the island of Patmos. That's beautiful. It says John had written in codes, wanted to become very careful not to reveal the main exposure of the Roman Empire. At the time, if anyone were to say anything bad about the ancient Roman Empire, severe punishments were given. So Rome put them on that island. All right. And it says this satanic beast system, the Roman Empire, revived into a religious and political system as one later on, which we know is the Roman Catholic Church. The Vatican City is where the main headquarters are at. The papacy controls the world. So the popes that sit in their chair, they runs the show. So they like the Godfather. So let's get into the scriptures. Let's go to Revelation 17:1. And there came one of the seven angels, which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither. I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. Now, the whore represents the universal church. Okay? And the waters represents the inhabitants. So, to prove all things, let's prove the waters represents the inhabitants on this planet. And he said unto me, The waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. So this universal religious system had heavy influence upon the kings and queens of Europe. They did, and still to this day. All right, there are over 1 billion people that are baptized, swearing alliance to the papacy. Okay, so I'm gonna show you an example. Look at this: Mussolini signs concordat with Pope of Rome Pius XII, signs agreement with Hitler. So you see that? And let me scroll down. The Pope is the head of the United Nations and the European Union. So you see that? So, but the UN runs the whole thing. So you see, he's sitting right there, and the UN, they portray themselves as they for peace, but they really for war. And the elite, which the Pope behind it, they set up 2 world wars to bring forth the UN. Because at first, after World War I, it was the League of Nations, but the United States weren't fully infiltrated at the time. So they decided, you know what, let's go ahead, let's come up with another war. So that's what the Second World War, and after that, you had the United Nations. Okay, I mean the UN, the United Nations. Slovakia, my bad. But let's go down here. Revelation 17:2, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of a fornication. Now the kings, presidents, and world leaders are currently following the papacy's agenda. These demonic doctrines are being promoted worldwide through religious institutions. Traditionally, the kings carries out the traditions and teachings, being examples to the masses. Therefore, the masses will follow them, because it's natural for the inhabitants to follow their leaders. The leaders are corrupt, so therefore the inhabitants will be too. The Most High is a very jealous God. The worldly inhabitants today are being drunken off the wine by following the wisdom, delicacies, and teachings of ancient Babylon. Therefore, we are committing spiritual fornication against the Most High. The children of Israel are spiritually dead by professing the ways of the Gentiles. All right? So let's go to Daniel chapter 5, verse 1 through 6. Belshazzar, the king, made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords, and drank wine before the 1,000. Belshazzar. Now, for those that may not know, Belshazzar was King Nebuchadnezzar's son. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and proceed. Verse 2: Belshazzar, whilst he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of their temple, which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines might drink therein. Verse 3: Then they brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temple of the house of God, which was at Jerusalem, and the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines drank in them. Verse 4: They drank wine and praised the gods of God, and of silver, of brass, of iron, of wood, and of stone. Verse 5: And the same hour came forth fingers of a man's hand, and wrote over against the candlestick upon the plaister of the wall of the king's palace. And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. Verse 6: Then the king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loose, and his knees smote one against another. Now Belshazzar had committed spiritual fornication by defiling the vessels from the Lord's temple. His father Nebuchadnezzar had sacked Jerusalem and had taken the vessels he had taken them to Babylon. Belshazzar was very proud. Being proud is abominable to the Most High. He was paying homage and worshiped the other gods with wine in the vessels as cups. The modern day Great Babylon are using the church appearing as the Lamb, portraying an image of Christ, but really they are serving Satan. They mix the ancient pagan customs with the Christ-like image to deceive the people in order to get the inhabitants to serve Satan more is to use their churches, which are the daughters, throughout the world to fool the people. That's why the people are drunk off the wine. We must come out their propaganda or we'll be destroyed by the Most High. So how can we avoid this matrix? Because our people are drunken off the wine. They into football. They into all these traditions from the world. They got something called 420 where you can smoke weed all day, getting high. But the scriptures warn us to be sober. Okay. So not only that, they got birthdays every day, you know what I'm saying? So our people are drunken off the wine. Okay. So we are drunken. If you drinking anything dealing with, I'm gonna rewind it. If you are celebrating Christmas, birthdays, or any pagan holiday authorized by these so-called Christian churches, you are drunken off the wine. You are drunk spiritually. Okay. So you got to put that cup down and be sober by coming back to the ways of the Most High. All right. So this video is about to end and we're going to proceed to the second video of this lesson. Shalom.